So there's no doubt in my mind you're being bombarded with all the business planning for 2025 YouTube videos that are out there. I will tell you though, very few of them allow you to grow your business and expand your lifestyle, meaning make more money in less time with less stress. So in today's video, I'm gonna break down how to do it the right way, how to fit in all the things that have to happen in the business for you to double, triple your production, but also have the availability for your family, for things outside of real estate. The last thing I want for you is to build a business that just engulfs every part of your life, and you're gonna lose out on the things that really matter. After serving over 5,000 families in my real estate sales journey, and at this point helping over 2,000 agents grow and scale their businesses without losing their lives, I definitely know that there's a right way and a wrong way to go about business planning. And here is the preface to all of this. When I got into real estate, my focus was, I wanted to sell a bunch of homes because I knew that there was money there, and I wanted to create a lifestyle for my family that honestly, I didn't even think was possible at the time, but I had a very clear vision that I wanted to make $1 million take home a year, but I only wanted to work definitely less than 40 hours, but my real target was working 1,000 hours a year. And do the math on 1,000 hours, take out a couple weeks for vacation, so 50 weeks that I'd be working, and that's 20 hours a week. So that's a tall order to make $1 million working 1,000 hours. The math on that is that every hour I put into my business, I wanted to make $1,000 per hour. And even at 2,000 hours, which is a reasonable work week, 40 hours per week, that's still $500 per hour. So how do you craft your business? How do you make priorities in your business that allow you to make that kind of money? So how do you plan for that? It's nice to say that you want to make a lot of money for every hour you put into your business, but what does it actually look like? So the process I'm going to take you through is a proven process, and it's based on the premise that you may have heard of, the big rocks in your life and the big priorities, and then the pebbles and the sand and the water, this analogy that, and it's been played out where if you had, let's say, rocks, pebbles, sand, and water, and you were to put all of the sand and water in first, and then the pebbles, there would be no room for the rocks. And so how this plays out in business is that, and in life, is that, so before you start your year, you have to decide what the big rocks are. These are the priorities, the non-negotiables in business and in your personal life, so that come the end of the year, so 12 months from now, not only did you crush it in business, but you have maybe the lifestyle or the bank account to show for it. And you're also winning in all the areas of life that you want to win in. So my initial sort of entrance into this business, I left a very cozy corporate job where I was making, with stock incentives, a multiple six-figure annual income. And I left that to get into real estate 3 months before the shift started happening in my market. Looking back, June 2007, inventory shot straight through the roof. The end of 2008 was the onset of the great financial crisis, and I didn't do it all right. I will say I made all the mistakes that you could make, yet I was very clear on what my priorities were. So for me, the big rocks, when you look at the 30,000 foot view, the big rocks for me are being a good husband, being a good father. My spiritual journey came a little bit later, but taking care of myself physically, I will say I sacrificed some of that in the early days, and then business. So, how do you get it all done? I got into real estate, and we just had gotten married in 2006. We had our first child in 2007, and then a couple miscarriages, unfortunately. And then our second child, Kendall, came in April 2010. So I had just gotten into real estate March 2007, trying to figure out how to be a husband, figure out how to be a dad, and scale a real estate business. Sold 27 homes in my first 10 months, 44 my first full year in the business, then 58, 118, 178. And the year we did 248 transactions, I had built out all the lead gen systems, all the conversion systems, where I was able to actually step out of production completely. And if you never want to step out of production, all of this planning, this process, this guide we're going to go through is going to be really helpful for you. So let's dive in. On the business side of things, the first thing we need to nail down are, where are you at in the business in terms of what was your production for this year and what do you want it to be next year? And then figure out what was on average your monthly revenue. So let's say you did 12 deals this year and your average commission check was $10,000 per commission. That would be $120,000 of gross commission income for the year. Let's say you want to double your business. You want to do 2 deals per month at 10,000 average commission. That would be $240,000 of gross commission income. So big lift to go from 1 deal per month to do 2 deals per month. Little known fact that there's only 1% of agents that sell more than 25 homes per year. Most of our members scale way beyond that. And if you want to have a conversation ever about that, just go to $1,000,000agentmethod.com. We build out all these systems for our members. But that's where things start. What do you want the revenue to look like going forward based on where you just came from? What does that equate in terms of the number of clients that you served last year? And what are you going to do this year? You also want to document, where did the business this year come from? And where could I maybe eliminate some lead sources that weren't very prolific? And where can I double down on things that worked well? First two things we work on with our new members are your database touch blueprint, the agent brand authority builder, which is your digital footprint, and then usually our expired direct mail system and our FSBO system as well. Every one of those, ultimately, this is why less is more. They're each good for 1 to 2+ transactions per month once they're fully operational in the business. So you have to view the business from that standpoint. So the money makers are what activities, and there are very few activities that make you money in real estate, but looking back this year, where did you spend your time in terms of true money-making activities? Now, the highest and best use of your time is in what we call new business development. And there are two sides to this. The first side is new conversations with hopefully leads that are generated organically inbound. That's the focus of what we do. None of what we do is cold calling. It is soul sucking. It's not begging for referrals, right? We have systems in place that allow people to reach out to us, and then we just have conversations. So how many hours each morning are you spending on new business development? And then the second most dollar productive activity is what we call lead follow-up. So the two aspects of new business development are those new conversations, which we call prospecting, lead generation, and then lead follow-up. And just be honest with yourself. On an average week this year, as you're looking at what you could do next year, how much laser focused time did you spend in new business development? And what does it need to look like? Now, granted, you may not have the lead flow coming in, so that's part of your issue. And that's a separate thing that, we can even have a conversation about. But when it comes just sitting down and focusing on new business development, what did you do this last year? And where do you need to focus your efforts this year? And are you even following a calendar, right? Those are the big rocks. Those are the activities that have to happen consistently for you to get the success that you're looking for. The next set of big rocks that we're looking to identify moving forward is the personal stuff. And we break this down into the weekly, the monthly, the quarterly, and the yearly. Weekly, are you doing a date night with your spouse, right? Is that in the calendar? Is it immovable? Every Saturday, I do a date night. It is a weekly non-negotiable. Every Friday, my wife has some time for herself. It's in the calendar. She typically goes to the park. We say, quote unquote, the park. It's South Park. It's a really nice mall. Those are things that are in the calendar that are big rocks. They're priorities that we make sure we hit. Church on Sunday mornings is a big rock that we make sure we hit. Quarterly, we want to get away at least once a quarter. I'll take my wife somewhere and just the two of us will get away. Same thing with our family vacations. Yearly, we want to do one epic trip as a family. And we also go to the beach for a week. We go to the mountains for a week. So these are things that are in the calendar. They're going to happen. There's no chance, like those trips are already set and they're already booked out. So those are the freedom aspects that you should focus on as far as the big rocks. Then we have the pebbles, right? So if you think of this analogy of, rocks and pebbles and sand and the water, right? If you go in the wrong order, you're not going to fit it all in this container, which is there's only so many hours in a day. And so if you're just have no rhyme or reason and you haven't focused on any of the true priorities and you haven't thought about these things, chances are the sand and the just getting caught up in like the daily grind of like in your email, in transactions, and there's no rhyme or reason, it's not going to end well. Maybe you could do it for 1 year or 2 years, but we talk to agents that are 8-10 years in the business. They may be doing okay production, but it is 7 days a week and it's evenings and weekends included. So in terms of the daily activities that has to happen, this is, are you time blocked in your calendar where there are 5 things, the pebbles that we count in a real estate business on the business side are what we call, and I already covered 2 of them, but it's PLANS. Prospecting, lead follow-up, appointments with new buyers and sellers, negotiating those clients under contract, and then building systems. So the acronym PLANS, those are the daily, have to be in your calendar. You're using your mornings to do prospecting and lead follow-up. You're setting appointments, consultations, you're negotiating deals. And then anytime you don't have a consultation booked for the afternoon, you're just building systems in your business or doubling down on new business development. So are you like in a rhythm and a cadence cadence in terms of the pebbles. And then you've got the sand, which is, the birthdays and the hobbies and the family events and the things that are just going to happen, training and personal care. I get a 2-hour massage every Friday. It is just part of my ongoing routine that has to happen. I plan once a week. Every Sunday, I have a planning session. This routine and this cadence, the professional side in terms of, what are you doing on the weekly or the monthly? What masterminds are you in, or coaching programs? Are you being led to build a real business, right? Versus just reacting all the time and sort of haphazardly tripping over business. What friendships are you going to nurture this coming year? Also, make sure you look in the description below and you grab a free copy of the PDF that I'll go through at the end of this video. It's called the Annual Plan Organizer, and it's going to walk you through step by step exactly how to do this for your business and your personal life, so you don't miss a thing and you have the best year ever. And I'm going to show you this here. I've got, have you actually sketched out the entire year? Right. So this is a big ass calendar. I can only say that because that's literally what it's called. And in the worksheet here that you'll have access to is basically a year on a single page. And it's just making sure that the rocks are in there and you're sort of preloading your year where there isn't a chance you won't have the kind of year you want because you've already pre-decided what it's going to look like. And I'm going to run through that in a second, and you can get a free copy of this Annual Plan Organizer, getting all of this in a single page. Whether it's a big ass calendar or it's a single page, which I'll go through here in a second, you need to just make sure that you are planning your life. We spend way more time planning a week-long vacation than we ever do planning our actual life. So this gives you the ability just to sit down and make sure that you're not doing too many trips in a given month, or, that's something that I can fall, prey to, is with my daughter, my wife, and my son. My daughter competes in horse shows. So, 5 or 6 times a year we're traveling for that. My son is playing volleyball at a competitive level, and that's 13 or 14 trips away, in different states. We're jumping on planes for a period of time. And then I'm traveling for business some, and I'm traveling for personal. And so I need to make sure and look at the entire year and make sure there's not too much going on. And so make sure you take the time to do that. And then at the end of taking a little bit of time just to sit with some of this, I want you to think about, what takeaways, what actions, what conversations do you need to have with people in your world? Maybe it's, a conversation with your spouse about what the plan looks like for next year. If you don't go through something like that with your spouse, or your administrator, if you're starting to build an actual business, get them on the same page with the priorities, the rocks, the pebbles. They can help you stay in those time blocks to make sure that you're doing new business development every day, the prospecting, the lead follow-up, time blocking the afternoon for appointments and negotiating deals and building those systems. And another one of the big rocks is, what systems are you going to build out this year? And that's where, honestly, in terms of your ability to do this in your own business, if this is not your thing and you've been at it for a while, maybe you've achieved the 6-figure mark of GCI in your business, but there's another level of growth, whether that's 250 or 500,000 GCI or even $1 million GCI, go to $1,000,000agentmethod.com and just book any conversation with us. We'll build out all these systems with you on your tech stack. You won't ever pay for a lead, or you will never pay a referral fee to us. This is a 90-day build out, heavy implementation where you have everything you need via 3 or 4 lead gen levers built into your business. So if that's for you, go to $1,000,000agentmethod.com and book in a strategy session. Like I said, if you want a copy of the Annual Plan Organizer, just go to the link in the description and grab a copy of this. So you'll recall I talked through some of this just a second ago, the big rocks, the money makers. What did this year look like? What went well, what didn't go well, the money making activities, how frequently you need to do them. This is where you put your PLANS, and where do you want to be the end of next year? Just take a little bit of time to think through those things. And then on the personal side, the freedoms, what, where, and when are you going to do things that provide that level of freedom? Is it a massage? Is it a date night? Is it church weekly? On the monthly, is there a mastermind that you can participate in? Is there a men's retreat that you might go on? Quarterly is a trip with your spouse, a 3-day weekend every quarter. The annual trips or or even men's retreats or women's retreats? Like, what are the things you can do on the annual? If you don't think through these things, they'll never happen. Then it's the pebbles, right? So the PLANS, specifically, what are the things you need to do to build a business, a real estate business? Put those in there, and the frequency of those different things. And then you've got the saying professionally and personally, the development, personal development, planning days. What is that going to look like if you're running a team, or individually? What does your training look like? The family events and all that good stuff. And then have some version either of a wall calendar where you can put the whole year on a wall, or a sheet like this where you're just going to start to fill in the different, things that you're going to focus on in trips. And then as you go through this, I want you to print out this PDF and think about what are the takeaways from this training, things that you've maybe missed in the past. What specific actions are you going to take? And then who do you need to talk about, the specific communications you need to have? So my hope for you as you go through, this is a heavy lift sort of video. No, there's a real action item here to grab the PDF, print out a copy, and then sit down in solitude and just think about where you've been, what's been going well, what hasn't been going well. What do you want next year to look like? What do you want a few years from now to look like? And then just get to work on the weekly, on the daily, doing the things that you need to do to get the result that you want to get. Now, if you need help implementing these systems, that is what we're here for. In 13 weeks, we're going to implement all the lead gen levers, all your lead conversion systems, all your sales frameworks, and even leverage around client care. So if that's you, go to $1,000,000agentmethod.com if you need help with this stuff, and we'll just have a conversation. If you're a fit for what we do, we'll talk about it. If you're not, that's totally fine too. We'll point you in the direction of a free resource that might be a better next step for you. So much love, much respect, and we'll see you in the next video.